It's Mohim for Boxing Domination, and today I'm joined by Marc Dennis here at the Dennis Dyer Boxing Academy. First of all, Marc, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad, not bad.
So we're just a week away from the Quest Boxing. We've got the Bachir Fakhouri versus Adam Brooks. Can you tell us a bit about the event?
Yeah, the event's been set from June, where we've got a date in, and we've got a massive sort of 18-fight card coming for the show at York Hall on Sunday, the 3rd of September. And Adam has been training at Dennis Dyer for a while now, and he's got the bit between his teeth to try and go out there and almost fulfil a boyhood dream of actually stepping through the ropes properly and having a fight. He's doing it for a great cause as well, and his opponent is seems to be a bit of an oddball in that respect, but he's very, very game. He's well known on the underground fighting circuit, and I think it's going to be quite an entertaining fight.
Of course, with Bachir, he was a former, I believe, K1 world champion. He fought at BKB, which didn't really go his way, and a lot of underground fights nowadays, where it's like no rules fighting. How did the idea really come about?
I think it was from back and forth of them on social media. I think Adam wants to fight, and he's probably looking at someone who could bring a bit of attention to it as well, which obviously Bachir does. And I feel that all this K1 stuff. I'm a boxing purist, so all this other K1 stuff is all well and good, but the street fighting you can't really take it with any sort of measuring stick, in my opinion, because as you've seen it doesn't really last that long, so you can't really gauge it. So, but I think in terms of him being game and Adam being on point with the skills and the experience that he's gained, that's going to be the deciding factor.
And speaking of the other 17 fights on the card, what are we going to be sort of expecting? Because I know normally from Quest Boxing it's action-packed. I mean, you go to any fighters or any fans that have sort of attended the shows at York Hall, they know how great those shows were. I've personally been with the Dominic Felix fights, who was also a really good fighter. Can you tell us a bit more about the other 17 fights on the card?
Yeah, sure. We've got a whole host of names, but a lot of them are new as well. We've got Dave Evans, who's another Dennis Dyer fighter, who's a draw last time out, but he brings a massive crowd. He's a great man, proper man's man. He'll get in there and give it his all. He's a bit older than the other contenders, but it still doesn't matter. He gives it absolutely everything. Rest of the card, we've got a lot of newbies. To be fair, a lot of newbies from different parts of London that are coming together on this one. Obviously, Adam and Bachir are obviously going to be the most talked about fight because it's got so much attention on social media. But let's not forget about the guys that are coming. We've got a group of guys from Brighton that are coming up. We've got about 6 of them that are fighting on the show, all from the same gym. We've got John Ox, who's got a fantastic stable down in Ongar. He's got one of his boys fighting for a title, Jacob Stevens, who's a very, very good 19-year-old prospect. So he's coming along nicely. Had a really good, tough but fair decision his way last time out at York Hall in May. So yeah, we've got a few there. Obviously, still some things we're working on as well in this boxing game. Always trying to get the best fights possible. But yeah, it's going to be an entertaining day.
And speaking about you right now, I mean, you've opened up this gym. I want to sort of ask you, how did your idea of opening up not only this gym but also the whole Quest Boxing League idea?
So basically, Quest Boxing League is run by the head promoter, which is Alan Foley. He was obviously formerly with Queensbury along with Ross Minter. After being a successful fighter throughout Queensbury, with my gym that I was opening, in the midst of opening or getting opened, and me and Alan had a chat about me doing shows in the Essex and London area, and we've now done about 6 shows altogether. Going to be 2 now at York Hall. We've done 4 at the Brentwood Centre. So it's just a matter of someone who I think he can trust, someone that he knows will get on with it, which I do, and someone who's got a passion for boxing. So the gym is obviously a good standing point for people that want to obviously test themselves on a good platform. Those people then want to go into amateur or other things. It's down to them, but it's an opportunity for people. We've had so many first timers. We've had Lily Winch, who's now an amateur, who's gone down that path. She started on Quest. I've got Liam Dyer, who's another one of the owners here, who's on Quest. He's going for a big show at the end of the year at York Hall again in November. We've had Mario Saint, first timer, lost his last time out, but had 3 good fights leading up to that, which is really, really good. Who else have we had? Dave Evans is another one who started from scratch. Drago started from scratch. Everyone we've had started from absolute scratch, and it's been giving them a platform to go and actually see how good you are and how good you can be. So it's been a very, very good journey so far.
And sort of moving on right now is recently we had the returning of Anthony Joshua as he went back to sort of winning ways. And I spoke to a lot of the British crowd at the O2 Arena, and they've sort of had a bit of mixed thoughts based on the whole Helenius performance. And it's a bit off topic, but I do want to ask you, as someone being a part of boxing, what was your thoughts on his performance against Robert Helenius, and how do you think he can come back to try and fight some of the top 3 guys?
Firstly, I'm a massive AJ fan, not just for boxing, for the other stuff he's done. I think people are really, really quick to forget what he's done for the sport and for the sport in this country. But if we're going to isolate the question and talk about his performance, was it a great performance? Probably not his best. Is he still learning stuff from his new trainer? Who knows? Is he ready for Wilder? Who knows? That's the beauty about boxing. I mean, if he went in there and knocked him out within 2 rounds, what is he now going to beat Wilder? I mean, it's a hard one. I think Joshua knows what he's doing. He's got his team behind him that are obviously training him. But at the same time, it's one of those businesses where now people want to see things, And someone who'd fought a week before, who's probably a bit fatigued, potentially, body and mind. But like anything, you get the call to fight Anthony Joshua at the O2 on the pay-per-view. Well, it's not pay-per-view now, but it would have been a pay-per-view. To fight on that sort of platform, no fighter's going to say no. So for people to critique his fitness ability is just ridiculous, because at the end of the day, there was loads of other names winning the hat. And, for someone like Joshua, who was taking less than half of what he's agreed purse would have been, to then try and pay someone more than they'll probably get in any other fight they've had, or all their fights put together just to fight him, doesn't make business sense. So credit to Robert Helenius, who obviously stepped up, but everyone wants to see the old AJ. But then we can say that about AJ, but Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy, was all hands. When he went to Money May, it was he changed his boxing style accordingly. So everyone keeps forgetting Anthony Joshua's 18 stone man. There's only so much the body can continually do. There's no other heavyweight in world boxing that's built like Anthony Joshua. That's number one. Not saying that should be an excuse, but he's probably learning to manage his body better. He doesn't want to gas out. I know there's probably an underlying factor on him gassing out, so maybe he stays a bit more reserved, because he knows if he does catch someone, he's knocking them out. And the only difference between him and Wilder is Wilder knocks everyone down, right? Because if you look at Wilder's output on punches, he doesn't throw that many. But what he does do, he tries to line up one shot, and Joshua more or less done the same. So we're critiquing Joshua because he has not given us 4 or 5 years ago what he used to do, but Wilder's done the same thing in every fight. Jab, little feint, and he hits you. And only difference is when he hits you, you do go down. So I don't think there's another fight Joshua needs to have. It's just if he can get himself mentally and physically ready for that fight.
And sort of before we sort of end, I do want to ask you, after 18 fights on the card, which fight are you looking forward to the most? Is it the main event, or is there any particular fights? I
think Jacob Stevens is going to be a great fight. He's fighting for the light cruiserweight novice title. He's come on leaps and bounds. He's only a young kid, but he's strong as an ox, and his trainer's called John Ox, so it's kind of a weird one. But he's going to be entertaining to see. Obviously, the Adam Brooks and Bachir fight is going to draw the most attention, but as I say, we've got 17 other fights on the card that they're all training hard, they're all looking to put in performance, and everyone wants to build themselves within the league. So everyone's coming to give their best performance, and hopefully they can go on to, contenders for titles in the near future.
And just lastly, and I've sort of said lastly a few times, when you were fighting, your mental preparation before a fight, I tend to ask a lot of current and former fighters the exact same thing on all combat sports. Just say, I'm going to give you a scenario. Just say you're about to enter the ring. The official comes in and tells you, okay, Mark, you're next. What goes through your mind right before the ring walk? And what mental preparation do you do in that moment to prepare yourself?
To be honest, I'm prepared from the night before, if I'm being honest. I normally watch 2 fights before all of my fights, which was Mayweather-Gatti and Tyson Burbick. Always used to, those 2 fights, always used to watch them from beginning to end. So the Tyson one wasn't that long, but it's just the mindset to get in. When they say I'm next, obviously it's a bit different because you know when you're next, but I know what you're saying. It's just go time at that point. You know, I used to train with the former British champion Darren Hamilton, and you know he trained me and got me in the condition I needed mentally and physically. So it's one thing that you know he always said to me is that when we train, it's a good question you asked, but I'm going to flip it back. Is that if that official came to me and went, sorry, this fight can't go ahead, to determine the winner, you've got to switch trainers and do an hour session backstage. Trust me, there's no fighter in Quest or Queensbury that could do what I've done with Darren. Like if they said, oh, you got to do that for an hour, they wouldn't be able to do it mentally more than anything else. So having that in the back of your mind and in your arsenal when you get into a fight, and I was unbeaten, I never lost a fight. So that's that.
Thank you, Mark. We'll see you next week at the Quest Boxing.